Welcome. My name is Eleanor. You may be here tonight because there is something you want to begin, and somehow the beginning keeps moving further away. Perhaps it has to feel clearer first, safer first, more exact first. If that's true, you're in the right place. For the next little while, I'm here to help the first step feel less guarded and a little more human. You may be tired of circling the start, tired of making the entrance narrower than it needs to be, tired of feeling as though you must become a better version of yourself before you are allowed to touch what matters. Nothing is required of you now. You do not need to decide anything tonight. You do not need to become ready from here. This time is helping you sleep and helping you grow. It is helping the body settle and helping the mind loosen its grip a little. There is no test in this, no performance in this, only a quiet place to rest and to let something soften. Ahead of you, a river moves through a narrow gorge. The light is only just beginning. Stone rises on either side. The path beside the water is passable, but tight. Now let the bed hold a little more of your weight. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw grow easier. Let your hands be still. Feel where your body is already supported. The back of your head, your shoulders, your back, your hips, your legs, the whole quiet length of you being held. And with the next breath out, you may let yourself grow a little heavier, a little less braced, a little less busy with the day. For now, you only need one sure place beneath you, one place already holding. The day has happened. It is not happening now. Right now, there is this room, this bed, this breath, this voice. And in the quiet behind the voice, the river keeps moving through stone. The air in the gorge is cool. The path is close to the water, careful enough to notice, simple enough to follow. You do not need the whole path tonight. You do not need to know how the whole thing will go. You do not need to become composed in advance. Only this moment of support. Only this breath arriving and leaving. There are nights when beginning feels strangely difficult. Not because you do not care. Often because you care a great deal. Something waits for you. A piece of work, a message, a decision, a page, a conversation. And instead of meeting it, the mind begins measuring. Not yet. Not like this. Needs a little more thought, a little more order, a better version of the start. And because the measuring can sound sensible, it is easy to stay with it, easy to mistake it for wisdom. You may know this feeling. The beginning is right there, but the standard keeps moving a little further ahead. So you tighten, you prepare, you hold back, and from the inside, this can feel responsible. It can feel careful. It can feel intelligent. It can even feel like the right thing to do. Because sometimes the voice does not sound harsh at all. Sometimes it sounds sensible, measured, almost protective. But tonight, you may notice that there is a voice in this pattern, a measuring voice, a voice that keeps narrowing the path. Not your whole mind, not your whole self, just that measuring voice, saying, not yet, not enough yet, not safe enough yet. And it helps tonight to notice the difference. You are here, and the measuring voice is speaking. You are the one hearing it, the one lying here, the one being held. Those are not the same thing. So for now, you do not need to argue with it. You do not need to beat it. You do not need to prove it wrong. You may simply notice the measuring is here again. There is the narrowing again. There is the not yet voice again. And then come back to what is already holding you. The bed beneath you. The weight of your body. The cool air in the gorge. The river moving beside the path. One sure place. One actual moment. And perhaps the reason this pattern becomes so persuasive is that it is not only about standards. Sometimes the measuring voice is doing another job, a quieter job, a more protective one. It may be trying to save you from a feeling, not from the task itself, but from what beginning might bring you into contact with. Perhaps uncertainty, perhaps exposure, perhaps the simple fact of not being in control of how the first moment lands. It may be trying to save you from a feeling, the feeling of exposure, of uncertainty, of not quite knowing how it will go, of meeting yourself before you are fully armored. So the voice says, wait, tighten a little more, prepare a little longer, get the start more exact. And because that sounds protective, the delay can begin to look noble, intelligent, disciplined. But protection and postponement are not always the same as wisdom. Sometimes the path stays narrow, not because the path truly demands it, but because the measuring voice is afraid of what you may feel when you step forward. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. It makes sense that a mind would do this. And it also helps to notice something important here. The care is real. The wish to do something properly is real. The wish not to be careless is real. The wish to bring something honest into the world is real. That care is yours. It belongs to you. It was there before the narrowing. It will still be there without it. The narrowing does not belong to your best self. So the episode does not ask you to stop caring. It does not ask you to become careless. It does not ask you to lower yourself. It only helps you separate care from the measuring voice that keeps using care as a reason not to begin. There is a difference between wanting to do something honestly and needing to feel completely sealed before you touch it. And if that difference is only faint tonight, that is all right. It is enough to notice that the measuring voice may not be the whole truth. Return then to the body, to the support beneath you, to one sure place, to the sound of water meeting stone and passing on. And now, as the first light reaches a little lower in the gorge, you may notice what helps more than measuring. Not more planning, not more tightening, not one more attempt to secure the whole distance. What helps more is contact. Simple contact. This breath, this weight, this one place already holding you, this one moment not asking to be improved before it can be met. Because the measuring voice lives a little way ahead. It lives in the imagined start, the improved start, the safer start, the start with no awkwardness in it. But your body is not there. Your body is here, on the bed, in the night, being carried by something solid. And for one night, that may be enough ground to return to. You do not need to force the feeling underneath to go away. You do not need to solve the whole pattern tonight. You do not need to know exactly what tomorrow will ask of you. You may simply notice the measuring voice wants the whole path in advance, and the body only needs this one sure place now. The walls of the gorge do not vanish all at once. They just begin to stand a little farther off. The path stops asking for such exact footing. The river sound loses some of its echo. The air begins to move more freely through the stone. More light reaches where you are. That is how this shift works too. Not dramatic, not all at once, just a little less pinched. There have been moments in your life, small ones, ordinary ones, when you began before you felt fully ready. A rough first line, a first sentence spoken, a hand finally moving, a message sent. Those moments exist. They may have been ordinary enough to overlook. A beginning no one praised. A rough start that still counted. A first attempt that was imperfect and alive. The measuring voice does not always mention them, but they belong to your story all the same. You are not only the one who waits. You are also the one who has moved before certainty arrived. For now, rest there. Not in a grand new identity, not in a promise that all delay is over, just in that quieter fact. You have begun imperfectly before. You have entered things without full certainty before, and nothing essential in you broke because of it. And perhaps now, the gorge begins to open. The stone eases back. The sky has more room in it. The river runs wider and slower. The ground beside it is no longer only stone. There is softer earth now, long grass, more light reaching where you are. This matters because perfectionism often makes the world feel narrow, as though only one kind of beginning is allowed, only one exact opening. Only one version of you is safe to be seen. But the wider ground tells a different story. A beginning can be simple. A beginning can be rough at the edges. A beginning can arrive with a little awkwardness in it. A beginning can belong to a human being, not an ideal one. And the care underneath all this, the wish to do something sincerely, the wish not to waste what matters, that stays with you here too. It does not need the measuring voice to survive. In fact, it may breathe more easily without it. So tonight, you may rest inside a fuller story. Not the old, thin story that says you are someone who cannot begin. Not the harder story that says you must become fearless first. Only this wider one. You are someone who cares. You are someone who feels the weight of beginnings. You are someone who has sometimes mistaken tightening for safety. And you are someone who can meet that weight a little more honestly and a little less defensively. By morning, the first step may not need to be elegant. It may only need to be real. And that tomorrow horizon can stay very light. No instruction, no assignment. Only the sense that the path may ask less of you than the measuring voice claimed. So if something waits for you beyond this night, you do not need to carry its full shape into sleep. You may leave it on the wider ground for now. Let the morning find it. Let daylight meet it. For now, there is the open plain. There is the slower river. There is more sky than stone. There is room around the path again. And there is your body still being held. And now we let it settle. The river moves slowly now. The ground is wide. The light is soft. Nothing in the plain is asking you to narrow. You do not need the narrow place. Not for this moment. Only the bed beneath you. Only the breath. Only this held weight. If the measuring voice speaks again, it may pass across the open ground, thin now, farther away, and go no further. You do not need to follow it. You may remain here, here with the slower water, here with the softer earth, here with the wider sky. Nothing to secure, nothing to perfect, nothing to become before rest. Only the quiet fact of being here and being held. Just the body growing heavier, the face softer, the breath easier, the chest less defended. And somewhere ahead of sleep, the plain grows quieter still. The river keeps moving. The light spreads gently, and the wider story holds. Quietly, without effort, and the night carries you from here.